The question is, at what point in your life did you feel closest to God? At what point in your life were you most persuaded that God really is who he says he is? When were you most persuaded that because God is who he says he is, you are who he says you are? Not who your parents say you are, not who your teachers say you are, not who your spouse says you are, not who your kids say you are, not who your neighbors say you are. You are exclusively who God says you are. And because God has said, this is who you are, this is the life that you are to live. And sadly, most baptized people in the world today have no idea how to answer that question. And that's the importance of undergoing that exercise, because when we examine our lives and we start to talk about, this is when I felt closest to God, this is when I was most confident that God really is who he says he is, and at the same time discussing, when were you least confident that God is who he says he is? When did you feel most distant from God? And as we begin to discuss those events in a person's life or those states in a person's life, they begin to see a pattern. They begin to discover that these things don't just happen at random, but that there are very specific reasons why I have, under some circumstances, grown in my confidence in God, and there have been very specific circumstances in my life, events in my life, or people in my life who have caused me to lose my confidence in God.